tremendously. So we budgeted for the entire year $6,000. Through April, we already hit over 17,000, just to let you know. So if we stayed on that trend, which I hope we don't, you'll be at $52,000 at the end of this year. That's tremendous for your association.
So what does that mean for us for next year? We would budget close to what we're spending?
Yes, and what we want to recapture some of this money, Patty, because your operating cash is coming way down. And we've got to make sure you have operating cash sufficient in case of an emergency.
Correct.
So, we know we don't fund reserves, and with the new laws, you still don't have to. But we do want to make sure you have sufficient operating cash if something else comes up.
I have a question for you for CapEx, that's capital expenses, okay? Because this association doesn't historically fund reserves, do you recommend that we put budget some money aside for CapEx?
Sure, you should always put money aside for reserves, even if it's a small amount every year. So one of the things that you have, and this has been sitting in your account forever, is about $60,000 in reserves, but that's for common. It's not for each of the 4 individual phases. This is all common. So those reserves have been sitting there for quite a while, and I think, hold on, yeah, it's for painting.
Yes.
So,
You can't see it, Chloe.
there you go. So there's some additional reserves, but they're really not your money to spend. When you got the loan with Popular Bank made 2 things a requirement of the loan. One, and this is common, both of these things are common. So one is called debt service. So they make you put a chunk of money aside in a bank account that you cannot touch. For you, it's $74,500.
For how long?
It's contingent upon how much you owe on the loan. So this is a 20-year loan, and they actually have a formula. Not until we get to about year 13 are we going to even be able to look at taking any of this money out. When around year 13, we know based on the way these loans go, I can contact the bank and say, hey, how much can we take out of debt service? And they might say, you can take $2,000. You might say you can take $5,000. They have a formula, the bank does. They're going to give me the number, and we'll pull the money out of there. It goes right back into your operating account. They have an addition. They required you to put an additional $76,000 aside into a reserve account. Again, really for the same reason. They don't want you touching that money. They want you to have sufficient skin in the game at their bank, money that's just sitting there, in the remotest case that you don't make a payment. That is what that's for. So between the debt service and the reserves required by the loan, $74,500 for one, $76,200 for the other, that money has got to sit there. But as we get closer to the end of the loan, those funds will be softened up a little bit and released a little bit at a time. Usually about a year before the end of the loan, you can take it all. But that's a long way from now. That's 20 years. What else can I answer?
Does any other board member have questions? No? About the budget.
So wait, I have a question. So legal fees you said right now are from April, about 17,000. Do we have a close, like we don't have anything close to how much it's gone up since April?
Yeah, I didn't bring the May financial, I apologize. So did anyone have it?
Yes, of
Of
course.
course Blair had it. I didn't know where it was going, so I didn't bring my laptop.
Yeah, I didn't print out all of it, but I do have what you're looking for. Let's see, here's May. Pass that on. It's front and back, dear.
Yes, so you're up to over 21,000 through May.
So 21,000, and our budget is 6,000
For the year.
for the year. And we have a breakdown of what we're spending on.
I don't have it with me, but yes, it's with every financial. So from January through May, it will be identified in the general ledger of every financial, and if Blair wants me to, I can send her something, or she can get.
I can pull it up.
She's very good at pulling stuff from our site, so she can pull it up.
$21,000 on in legal fees. Is that absurd?
Absolutely.
If that keeps growing, are we gonna have to have an assessment?
Not necessarily an assessment, because we have operating cash, but next year's budget, we're gonna have to increase that line item dramatically. We wanna make sure you don't end the year, honestly, with too little operating cash. And right now, our trend is we're heading that way.
Yeah, I think Blair can answer more, a few of the legal issues that the association is dealing with. She can give you from construction to expenses that are derived from a particular board member. We can highlight transparency to the unit owners so they know what's exactly. But I agree, and I brought this up with Carol at the meeting to help the unit owners that were there. The money needs to come from somewhere. So if these legal fees continue, we're not talking about the construction because our attorney needs to get involved with contract disputes and things like that. I'm talking about legal expenses that are costing us to deal with issues that we all know what they are. So, yes, we're going backwards. Here we are, we have huge savings in insurance, and these legal fees are becoming counterproductive. I can tell you offhand a tally of the legal fees the association has paid, and I like to view it as what could we have done with that money? I would have paid 1/3 of resurfacing our tennis courts. We're at $8,414.37. That is dealing with allegations from a particular board member that we've had to involve legal. I will update you this afternoon, one of those items that came to the board's attention that we are spending legal fees on to respond. And this is going to continue, and we're already facing at nearly $8,500 and climbing. So I want to make sure this is transparent and you understand where we are with legal fees. And as I suggested to the board and the unit owners there, you must be aware of what this is costing us, because it's not going to stop. It's just going to continue. I call it nonsense, but time will tell. So Carol, now I'd like to open it to the unit owners, please. Anybody have a question regarding the budget? Yes, ma'am. Oh, let me just bear with me. I just want to make sure that I'm giving everybody ample time. Let me just put the 3-minute mark. Go ahead.
So you're saying that somebody that's sitting here is costing us so far $21,000?
No, costing us so far $8,414.37.
I want to reserve this because I know that's directed to me. And I've been working with also Sergeant Christopher King in regards to these
Can you
matters.
answer her question?
I'm getting to it. I made a statement first. So, in regards to those fees, I have a breakdown of the legal. Actually, Judah removed all the transaction notes in the general ledger that was in the accounting files. I don't know why they're not there anymore. I look like I ran a report on June, but I have an itemized list of what all the legal fees were, and a lot of them cost to Levi and to other aspects of the menu here. So I know there's a lot of tension on this board because of all the issues that have surfaced.
No, but my question is,
And
why
it's-
are we all paying money from our pockets of someone here on this
Because
table?
you're not just paying for that, you're paying for contractors, they're doing extra
No,
work.
this,
They're doing extra work.
extra money that wasn't accounted for.
Transparency, Mr. Sean Martin.
Amazing.
Yeah, see?
Great. That's transparency.
Well, you know what, when you break laws, that's what happens.
Ma'am, you still have a minute and 30 seconds. Do you have anything else?
Just the pool, I want to use the pool with my kids.
Yeah. The board is done.
Oh, because it still has a sticker.
No, that's the sticker.
Yeah, there's a sticker
The
that
pool is
says
still closed.
warning.
Why is the pool still closed? Well, it's not.
Yeah,
Let's get to the agenda. All right, Cheryl.
Yes, regarding the community thing and how much money there is left. And I guess not been resurfaced in, I don't know. I don't think, I've been here since 2004, I've never seen it resurfaced. There have been little patches, but that's it.
Correct. So that's part of the funds that's needed. So there is in the reserve, how much, 60,800. We do have patched over the years because we knew that this huge project was coming and it was going to get destroyed at some point with the heavy trucks. So what we're planning to do, as the phases, I'm going to ask the management company, as the phases complete, to get an estimate what resurfacing would cost. So that would be the end touch of this project, right? A lot of money has been spent on restoring and so forth. So we want to do that, and we also want to see, like we redid the whole pool with our savings with our operating account. We want to see if we can also do that with some of the monies needed to resurface and also restore our tennis courts once this is all done. So those are all plans we want to do. We were able to do the pool because the board diligently watched what we were spending and it made sense. But I agree with you. So there are issues with, can you please walk the phases, anything that is a deep hole, can you please have it patched properly? So that we can hold on to this, because I don't know if you viewed phase 4 during the roofing project, these heavy trucks.
And garbage trucks.
Shifted some of the sidewalks and so forth, so we've got to, we're going to resurface, and that's something I've brought up to many unit owners that I would like to see done and bring to the board once the phase is complete, and we please at least get estimates. Can you, Mike, just to get an idea of what each phase cost, to see what it would to resurface the community and pay bumpers and so forth, just to get an idea of what today's costs are, to keep that in mind.
At least to fill some of those holes in this.
Well, the
building.
fill-
Oh, the fill's gonna be done,
No,
yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
it
like
is.
phase 2, huge holes, not far from the mailbox.
Yes.
Agreed,
And,
yeah.
and that's just, you can't get around it.
Yeah, and phase 4 has a huge root that's lifted
Okay, but
up.
this is not the budget. so
Right,
I
right,
understand
right.
that.
That's just regarding the budget.
Sorry, okay, yes. Cheryl, do you still have some time left? Do you let me know when we like to next? Okay. Sorry, you said. Yes, ma'am.
Could you please clarify for me, you said in phase 2 with 3 bedrooms is 602. Is that included the maintenance and the loan, or how much is in total?
This is just the maintenance.
Just in that, the 602 is just the what, the maintenance?
Correct.
So besides that is the loan?
Right, so 17 of your homeowners have paid their share of the special assessment in full. The rest of you are going into the loan. You will be getting new coupons for that as well. That payment will start July 15th. So that's an additional amount every month for 20 years.
Yes, so
Yes.
this is, let's say, for example, 602 plus 357, so it's $400 more.
Are
So it will be-
you in phase
in
3?
phase 2 with 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms.
So
So
it's
it's
more-
$354 a month for the special assessment home.
Yes, so it's going to be around 400, so it's 1,200, 1,002, around that for 20 years. That's what it is, right?
But I can't say what the maintenance is gonna be every year, but for right now, your maintenance will be 602, as we discussed, and then the special assessment will be 354. So basically, it'll be about $960.
So it's still extremely high, so how we're going to pay reserves or anything else of the liens that we own with this amount of money monthly? That's a lot.
What is?
Because we have liens that we need to pay at the end, we have
Please
other
refer
things
to
that
the
we need
year
to pay.
certification fines until the project's over.
Oh,
and you can
okay,
post it.
that's a question for your attorney, because a lot of those fines and
We'll
all
wipe
those
those out.
fees, the city will waive almost, I wouldn't say how much, but a lot of the money.
Can I make one interjection there? The attorney said in this meeting.
I'm
they
sorry,
said-
Sean, you haven't been
No,
called.
the
She's so
question is,
serious.
so, but anyway, it's a lot of money that we need to continue paying. And also, we are talking about reserves and a lot of things that is getting, that we need more and more to the budget. So we are talking about a lot more money about this. Basically, it's a lot.
This gentleman's gonna wait.
Ma'am, you still have some time. Do you have any other questions?
Well, I think I don't have any more, so
Okay.
that's,
If you do,
that's the last
you
time.
can always do another round.
Wait, gentleman.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So this is no reserves, correct?
That's correct.
Do you have a number with reserves?
Not on this budget, because we waived them for this year.
The only reason why I asked is because we're lowering it now, but why are we gonna keep doing the same thing that's been happening? And then we're gonna end up in the same position again, 10 years down the road. You know, if it's $100 extra from 5 to 6, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue, I just don't wanna deal with $1,200 again. You know, or 1,053, like, that's like crazy.
Yeah, so when I do the budget each year, we're required to put fully funded reserves in there.
Yeah.
The best time to be honest with you, when you haven't been funding reserves, the best time to start funding them is after you do all this work.
Yeah.
Because then it brings everything way down and extends the life over the time frame we can collect the money.
I got you.
So it really does make sense. And what I would do is, and you can do partially funded reserves as well with the proper vote again. So when we do the budget for 2025, we're gonna have in there fully funded reserves. And then, it might be too soon still for a lot of people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it might be something maybe for the next year that you wanna consider at least starting to partially fund reserves.
Yeah, I
And
just
as we
didn't,
move forward.
I didn't see it on the paper that I got, so I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, on this one, we didn't need to include it because you've already waived the reserves
And
for
then,
this year,
another question, so we're gonna be paying for that special assessment starting this month,
July.
but our phase doesn't look like it's gonna be touched anytime soon.
Mhm.
Originally, when I came to the meeting, I was told that we were gonna be paying that after we started our work, but, I mean, there's no indication of anything in phase one. I mean, fences are falling off in my house, like, I'm about to pay for them myself, so.
Yeah, I can't comment about that, but I will tell you, the special assessment, believe it or not, that Florida statute, the work doesn't have to start at the same time you're paying. So a lot of associations, believe it or not, they collect the money in advance, and you kind of did that. For 10 years, you were collecting like $40 to $50 a month per owner that we were putting aside. So in a sense, you started that process.
Well, I'm just wondering when that changed from we're gonna pay starting after they're doing the work to now phase 4 is done and we're gonna be paying and we're not even touched. You know, apparently it's changed so many times, so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with that, you know?
That's a question when we end budget.
Okay.
We have Oster, the project manager, coming. It's a perfect question to say. We just want to talk about strictly.
No, that's fine, you said one question, so I wanna make sure I get everything that I want,
Understood.
you know?
You still have a little bit more time, sir. Do you have any other questions?
No,
Okay.
I have
Hold on a second. Yes, hold on a second. Let's get questions. Go ahead. We'll get to the
Yeah. board. So I just want to talk, we talked about the transparency, right? And I just want to be transparent because the squeaky wheel gets the oil and, Sean to be squeaky wheel. But the truth of the matter is there's been other litigation against the Omega Villas this year that has nothing to do with Sean, including 2 cases of you guys going after people that are late on their HOA fees, foreclosing on their homes. So one of the other ones was for, let's see, as a public record on Broward County Clerk Courts, it's for damages, probably from the roofs. I know, I was this close to filing a suit. So I know that it costs the community, but at the same time, when people aren't seeing changes for a long time, and then are hit with huge bills, and a lot of people in this community are on fixed incomes, then they're gonna get their home foreclosed on too. And Sean was settled on, and so was the other damages case was settled on. So I don't know where these funds are still continuing to come out unless it's just letters being sent from our attorneys.
Okay, so
Because I know I've sued.
you have a 2-part question, and it's good that Carol's here, so she can explain how finances and the association's obligation for owners that are in default. Carol?
Sure, so you have a policy in place that basically instructs us when to send what we call, the first letter is called the reminder letter, and when to send the required, what we don't call it, the state of Florida calls it a NOLA letter. NOLA is an acronym for Notice of Late Assessment. And about 3 years ago, 3 years ago now, Florida statute was amended to require associations to send a NOLA letter to a homeowner at their property and mailing address before that unit could be sent to legal collection for any kind of foreclosure action. So this was something that was put in Florida statute. It's nothing we wanted to do. It's nothing the boards wanted to do. It's just something that became law. So there's a policy in place, and after a certain time frame, if they don't respond, then they get a NOLA letter. The NOLA letter says you have 30 days in which to pay your account or show proof of payment, basically, is what it says. And that letter is sent, and it does have to have an affidavit of mailing done, which we do. So we have a list of all the letters. They're all kept electronically. We keep the summary. Everything your attorney requires us to have, we have to keep. Because if an account does end up going to legal collection, we have to send all of that with it to the attorney so they can pursue it. So we don't do any demand letters or any legal letters or anything like that. So the NOLA letter basically is in the format that was required by Florida statute. We didn't make up the format either, just to explain it. And it basically says, as of a certain date, this is what you owed. And if there's a late fee or if there's any other fees allowed, it'll identify that as well. And this is the total, and if you dispute it, basically provide proof of payment. You have 30 days, or your account is in danger of going to collection, something along those lines. So after the time frame runs out, that's when that unit would get sent to the attorney, and then the attorney deals with it on a collection matter. So basically, that's the process that we do.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. I got a question about the budget, actually. So in the budget, are we taking every expense like S&D Engineering, Cavalier, and Astra out of the special assessment account? Or is it coming out of the operations account? Or how's that working?
How do you code this?
Okay, so anything to do with the special assessment regarding the engineer or the contractor is all from the special assessment account. And we did have money in the old special assessment account, the money we've been collecting for years, that we've utilized some of that money as well. So everything has to do with, we call this special assessment number 4. The one where we were collecting the $40 to $50 a month for all those years, that was special assessment number 2.
Okay.
So those are the two accounts, and
So-
it's one bank account.
So we have a $4.6 million loan, and that's for Astra mostly, but S&D Engineering is on top of that, which is in addition to the 4.85.
We had money set aside for almost $800,000 at one point.
Yeah, but that's gone.
No, it's not all gone.
How much is there now?
Blair, I don't have, I have the April number. Blair has the May number in front of her. So in total, in that account,
The,
SA2, SA4 bank account.
465,995.
Okay, so that's what the amount was at the end of May.
And 285,000 of that goes to Astra. Because there's only 4.6 in the loan. So for that plus 285 is 4.85 million.
Yeah, I don't have all my stuff with me regarding the special assessment, just to be honest with you, so I'd have to look up numbers and whatnot, because
And-
that's not part of the budget.
And as part of, one more question, comment about the legal fees. Part of that expense of the legal fees was, I'm guessing, was Hollander going after my property when I had to hire my own contractors for fixing my roof that you guys didn't do after the lawsuit. Yeah, I got the notes right here. And those notes are no longer in your system, I don't know why, but I was getting it right out of your general ledger online, but those notes are no longer there.
What's the question?
Yeah, so when you make a blank statement about those $8,000, most of those were, well, number one was towards the records when I tried to request those last year. That was $2,738, when they should have just been given to me. And then this year was my roof.
My recommendation to the unit owners is do records requests. You're entitled to, how many, what was it? No, every month, every 30 days, you can do a record request. July 1st? Okay. there's the statute of limitations. My recommendation to the unit owners, call Carol Eskew,
Don't call me.
not you, call, not you specifically, but call her, and go through the proper record request. And look for yourself, that's your right, you should do it, right? So, in any event,
Just to let you know, the process for, and management, what's that? You always go to your manager first to request records. They will contact us and we'll provide them whatever they're missing. Because there has to be a formality in place. You have to prove you provided records. So it's usually done through management, just to let you know.
thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Ken?
The budget, the water, you brought up the water. I think the big problem with that is we have landscapers that cut the water system. And we get double billed, you know, the water people come out and fix it. But then the landscapers, when they come out again, they cut it again. So we're getting slammed on that.
You cutting the heads or the pipes?
They're cutting the pipes and the
They
water
cut the
just getting
pipes.
out. I mean, none of us use the association water washing the cars,
Well, where are the pipes exposed?
all over the place. I mean,
There were some back there.
They cut the sprinkler heads.
You're talking about sprinkler heads.
Yes.
And it's causing problems when they come out, they cut something, then we have to call FS, whatever the name is.
FS comes out once a month for a
And
wet
they-
check.
And they repair it.
Yeah.
I mean, over here, the entrance of phase 3, right on the corner, there's a whole water system there. They took a tree out and busted everything up. I mean,
Yeah, unfortunately-
They never fixed it.
Well, yeah, as we're doing construction and when you remove, you know, trees or roots or anything like that, you can't help but to break the water systems and then you just have to fix those, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
Well, the
that's.
problem is they didn't.
Yeah, that does cause,
Yeah.
but that's, yeah.
But they should fix it right away because it's costing us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It took 2 months for them to come out and fix the pipe back there. There was a hole with a.
Granted,
There's a new one this week.
40 years old,
Yeah.
it's still on all, I mean, things on and off and on and off, and thousands of dollars we spent, and then we're like double dipping. Sprinkler guys get paid, landscapers are destroying, he comes out and gets paid again.
Well, right now, the biggest problem is the construction, and they're doing the fences, so as they're doing the holes for the new fences, yeah, and that happened this week, and I was here, and, main line got broke, so phase 4, we have, some main lines broken in several places, unfortunately.
And who pays for it?
It depends on how the contract is written, whether or not they're responsible for, pipes that they do, so.
Gotta find out.
Yeah. Yeah, usually, contractors put that they're not responsible for broken. Most of the time is what I've seen. That unless you have something specific in your contract, so you have to look at it, yeah.
Anybody else, Cheryl, you just spoke, anybody else want to speak for the first time? Yes?
Real quick, just FYI, I'm requesting records back in November. I called Judith and asked for special documents to be sent to me. I was told to send over an email, which I did, and I never got the documents.
So that email would have been forwarded back to management, just to let you know. And we don't just send documents as a formality, and usually, like I said, management comes back at us and says, if they don't have the documents.
When I called the office and asked about them, the girl told me to send over an email requesting them, and that was all that I was told. And that was all that I did, and I never got it.
I would put in another request, but right to management.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Resolution on records requested.
Yeah.
So just so you know, there's a corporate resolution regarding the process of record requests that the board passed. It's in the portal, so you can also refer to that, and I'll give you the steps in the process to request records. Cindy, you still have a little bit more time.
No.
Anything else?
No, I'm
Anybody
good.
else want to ask the question for the first time? Yes.
With the new law coming to July 1st, will the budget be available online? Isn't that one of the stipulations in the 12
statutes? I don't know.
I don't think anything changed as far as what
That's all in the portal, yeah.
It's all in the portal. All the monthly financials, when we get them, after they're reviewed, Eric uploads them. So you should check. If you don't have the portal access, just request it.
Can we get it by the month too?
Can you what?
Get the financials by the month? I mean, we're all owners here.
I don't know, what is the standard to upload financials?
Well, you're gonna have to get your attorney to give you advice on what should be on there if you're not sure. There's a whole requirement in Florida statute of what's supposed to be on there
And
where
the
it's
time is
supposed
like,
to be.
yeah.
But we're also
Yeah.
owners and there's rights there too.
That goes for the record request, Sean, yes.
When do we have to start paying for reserves since we waived it this year?
Yeah, so there is no requirement for you to start paying for reserves by Florida statute because you're not a condominium of 3 stories or more. So you're exempt from that new law that everybody else is scurrying about with. So, but based on what this gentleman was saying, the sooner you can go ahead and consider, the less down the road, when these projects have to be redone, you're gonna have to pay.
Agreed, I'd just like to see more work done so we can drop that price.
Absolutely. I think that's a smart way to do it.
Any more questions from the union owners regarding the mid-year budget? Yes, sir.
On the assessments per unit, we have the revised proposed 2024 and approved. What is the difference, or is that what we will be voting on tonight?
I didn't hear. Can you stand up and re-ask the question, please?
I'll try. Without common area and phase 1 reserves, on phase 1, it shows 583. Next column is approved 2023 without reserves, 441. Which is it?
Well, it's neither of those numbers, because we revised it
Yeah,
on the
we're
tonight.
right there again.
So is that going to be voted on the
Well,
end?
the board votes on it, yes.
Okay.
So,
But there's a motion out on the floor.
Yeah.
She told you all the new numbers.
were you in here?
I know the new numbers, but the question is, you don't pay both of these numbers, you pay one or the other.
The 441 is 2023. That's last year. That's what we paid last year. So to cross that off, okay?
Okay,
It was just for comparison.
Yeah.
so 583 then.
Well, 583, depending on what phase, how many you know.
And how many beds?
He's got the right column. He's got it.
All right, any more questions regarding the mid-year budget review? Proposed new budget? Nothing from the board?
Yes, so is it understood that as the project continues, even though, let's say, they get through to phase 2 before the end of the year, or the budget year, will there be another revision to see if we could lower the payments? That's only just one time through the budget.
The budget and the project have nothing to do with each other.
Okay,
This is just your normal, regular maintenance.
regular, aside
Yes.
from.
This is
the
gonna be it
projects.
from now till December, whatever the board votes tonight.
Okay,
The project is in concrete for right now,
Because
literally.
right, that's
That's
what
what
I'm,
it's gonna say.
because of the
The
insurance.
insurance is the reason that
Yeah.
they're revising it.
Right, but they're not gonna revise it again, insurance will
No,
not.
it just renewed,
It
so
was
it's
just,
12 months.
that was it, okay.
Yes.
So we'll get a renewal for our property insurance. Our property insurance renews June 6th, I believe. So at some point in May of next year,
Next year.
they go out to bid, well, maybe earlier, but they start bidding and looking, going out to the market. I mean, based on what Hector Molina said, the market is starting to
Cool down.
cool down a little bit.
Right.
Unless there's another
To flatten out.
disastrous storm season or whatever, but we're hoping we can see some relief again next year. So great news.
So we need a motion for
I got a question about
You,
it.
go ahead, hold on.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Eric.
Concerning is, I don't know, should I ask it now or it has to do with assessment? And I agree that a whole totally different thing.
Well, Carol's here, so
Alright, what what happens if I make a motion tonight for the next 6 months that we don't pay the assessment? That'll give the unit owners a time of relief, and we start it in January. What happens with the loan?
Well, you can't do that because anything to do with a special assessment must be mailed out to every homeowner and posted at least 14 days in advance of a meeting. So you can't do any changes to that special assessment because you already voted on that last November or December, I forget when we did it. But you've already voted on this and when it
But
was
I
started.
can't, so you're saying that I can't undo it,
You can't undo it tonight.
but I can do it at the next board meeting?
Well, no, not at the next
There's a
board meeting.
timeline, right?
No, I'm saying, next board meeting is in July, so if I say,
It has to all be, you'd have to talk to your attorney, and I'm not gonna give you legal advice, you know me, Eric, I'm not gonna do that. So what I'm gonna tell you is that your attorney would have to give us instruction, because you can't change anything on that special assessment without doing a proper notice and meeting, which is 14 days.
okay, but, so I understand that. What happens with the loan though, since, finance?
Well, you're paying the interest on all the money that you're drawing down so far.
Okay,
So the interest, you're paying that.
okay,
We only pay interest because it's a construction loan and it's a line of credit. You only pay the interest on the monies you've drawn down. You don't pay principal back until we're done basically with the work.
right. So if, say for instance again, if I was to make, we get the 14-day notice, we do it, and we say, okay, for the next 6 months, will that also give us enough time for unit owners who wants to pay the full amount, they can still pay the full amount for the next 6 months?
That's a difficult one because you're gonna be running into, the more draws you do, the more interest you're paying every single month. And we're gonna get to a point to where we're not gonna have the cash, because you're gonna be using up the monies that we've set aside to pay the loan back, just to pay this extra interest.
So you're saying that an extra 6 months would affect it interest-wise?
Yes.
That's it.
How much?
And that interest could be 150,000, 200, I don't know what it's gonna be.
Right.
I don't wanna tell you a number, because I don't know how fast you're gonna draw the monies down.
Right.
So,
how can we find out how effective this is?
first you gotta talk to your attorney and see what your attorney recommends. And then we'll have to have some kind of a meeting to determine if you can even extend this, and if you can, how long you can extend it for. Because originally we
And how
talked
it will
about.
affect us, basically,
Right.
the owners,
Exactly.
at the end of the day.
And one more thing, and where are the coupons at in the process?
Sure. So I was gonna talk about that.
Okay.
So with the budget, I'm ready to order the coupons tomorrow, and like I said, this new budget will go out with those coupons. I was going to wait at least 4 or 5 days, because I don't want the coupons going out at the same time for the special assessment. So I was gonna wait on the special assessment coupons till next week sometime. Now, there are 17 homeowners that have paid in full. They're done. They've paid their share of this $4.6 million special assessment. There are one more homeowner made 5 of the 6 payments. We have tried to contact this person. We've had no luck. We left a message. Nobody has responded to us. So I don't know if they're at the meeting tonight. I don't know if, I'm not gonna say the name. I'm gonna leave it to Patty, whether she wants to say the name of the person. I don't know what else to do to try to contact this person. I think honestly, March payment never came through. I think it's lost in the mail. We got all the other payments,
It's a shame because it's such a low amount. I don't recognize this.
not that amount, this person here. This person, they missed the
This person?
payment. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, this
Yeah,
person was $74 short. We've been trying to contact them.
You know what? I'm going to reach out to her. She's in phase 3, and she's an elderly and has.
Yeah, you can see her trust there.
Let me call her.
Thank you.
Yes.
This other person has $74 owed. They shorted it by $74. I'm sure it's just a mistake.
Yeah.
So I want them, we've been trying to get hold of them, but we didn't have a number.
So when does she have to send payment?
Well, listen, she needs to do it ASAP, based on what everything is in place now. I'll give my other guy. Yeah, I have the,
Someone else.
Oh, I heard contact.
please, and what about this person? They only owe $74.
They also only owe $74?
No, this person owes this amount, Pat,
Okay.
right here, this amount. This person only owes 74, I've got it up here.
I've never met
that units on phase four, they may be investors. We don't know who they are.
What do you see?
Okay.
I haven't seen 08 phase four, anybody know the owner?
Take this.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What if okay, so the loan goes into effect. What if you come up with the money after the fact?
Yes, so once a year, you can pay your share in full, if you choose to. So, if you're at that point, call my office, we will give you what we call the buyout at that point. The bank loan allows us to re-amortize the loan once a year. So what happens is, and I recommend that you do this around November, if you're gonna do it, because you're gonna pay interest through December of whatever year you do it. So, I would tell you, call us, we can tell you what your payout is, because sometimes people do this. It's also, remember, if you sell your unit, this is due upon resale. You voted on that, right? Yeah. This is due upon resale, so it's gonna be on the estoppel. The title company is gonna collect this money. And again, they're gonna collect it through December of that year, because the loan can be paid down once a year. So, you can pay it off going forward. So if in 2-3 years you decide, you know what, I'm in a position to pay this off now, just call my office, we'll give you the payoff through the end of that year, and then we'll tell you, send the check around the end of November, and then we pay your share down and you're done.
Yes, in regards to the interest for the loan, if you do the math, you're paying a lot more.
Tremendous.
So, double, but it's not the 10% that we've been talking about.
It's
How-
7 point something.
Yeah, interest doesn't work like that. Interest is over the life of the loan.
Sure,
So it's like your mortgage, it's the same thing.
of course. It's
So, you know, in the end, you're gonna pay 3 times the price of your house, typically, 2 to 3 times. You pay it off over 30 years versus pay it in cash, right? So this is unfortunately the same kind of deal.
So in the event that somebody like us, we don't have money to pay the windows, I don't know if this is the right time to ask it or not, but if we don't have the money to pay the windows, does that mean they're not gonna do our roof?
That's a legal question. I would pose that question to legal to see what the options are.
Do we get an attorney and to send the attorney a letter or?
I can send an email. I can send an email to the accounting firm, not accounting, to the legal firm, and ask them in behalf.
Okay.
Veronica?
Vanessa.
Vanessa Wolf. Okay, Vanessa. I'll ask Rhonda at this point. There's a lot of unit owners have the same question.
That's
Yes,
a
I
good
think
question. That's a good question. Could you post, like in the portal or something, the answer? I mean, you don't have to put her name or anything. Could you post that answer so we could all?
We could probably put it, once I get a legal opinion, we could probably post it under the project folder in the portal. I don't know if you've seen the different phases, maybe under general, we can post something. Let me ask you something, Eric. Every time you post something, does it send out a notice that something new is posted? Because I don't get it.
No, that's,
You can't? Is that a feature you have?
no, but I could, if you want me to, as long as we get everybody's phone number again, I can say, this is posted, that, I can do that. And send a mass text.
We could also add it to the newsletter, have that information out.
Okay.
the 30? Or does it have to be the full 30?
Has to be in full. If you pay a lot, there is one homeowner that has something like that, and they're going into the loan. You go into the loan if you don't pay it in full.
But could they pay the 10,000 now and have the loan repayment be a little smaller for
No.
themselves? Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
But they have an option next November to pay it off, right?
Pay it
They
off.
have a
Any-
position.
anytime.
Yeah.
Any year. Yes, absolutely.
So,
Any other budget-related questions before we, let Carol go?
so there is a motion on the table by you, Patty, to accept the revised budget. Is there a second?